Hey guys, it's Dr. Phil Solomon. I want to welcome you to our first podcast of UnPhiltered. The UnPhiltered is a spin on my name, which is Phil. And the purpose of this podcast is to give you unfiltered or true information and allow feedback from people to give you a clear understanding of facial plastic surgery procedures that we offer here at Solomon Facial Plastic. I'm going to introduce you to Nancie, who's the co-host of our podcast, who is our office manager. She's also in charge of communications for our practice. And I'll let Nancie introduce herself, and then she'll ask a couple questions, and then we'll get into the weeds or the dirt.
The nitty gritty. Hi, everyone. I'm Nancie. So I actually have a background in radio and TV from many, many years ago. And I've been with Dr. Solomon for 8 years now, and it's been quite a journey. I've learned a lot in my role here. Dr. Solomon, when we're talking about Unfiltered, I'm just going to throw a few points about him because most people see him as a doctor, and I see him as a doctor, a friend, a boss, a person who I work with. So there are some things that I'd like to share about him since we're being unfiltered. So Dr. Solomon, actually, in case, everyone sees him on social media, he's actually very, very funny. He's probably one of the funniest people that I know, one of the smartest people that I know, super empathetic and incredibly humble, considering, the job that he does and what he's capable of doing in his work. And he's a really humble person, humble doctor, and you'd be lucky to have him as a surgeon. So I just thought I would share that little bit of information. So we're going to talk about what made him who he is.
You're embarrassing me now.
Oh, I don't want to embarrass you. I'm sorry.
Listen, I appreciate the kind words.
I'm sorry. Okay, so let's talk about how you got to where you are now.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to really summarize. So you're originally from South Africa. When you were under the age of 10, your family moved to Toronto. In your teenage years, I don't know if at that point you had any aspirations for being a doctor, but I think it was once you were in university. Am I right? That's when you decided which way to go?
Probably an undergraduate at the University of Western Ontario. I lived with, my roommate was interested in medicine. He came from a medical family, and I started taking some courses with him. But I wasn't the typical meds keener. I actually did a degree in economics and took sciences sort of on the side. And then probably my father sort of influenced me a lot. And
noble career.
He thought it was a noble career. He was
I love that line.
He loved the idea of me going into medicine. And, I think it was fortunate just the way things played out for me. So went to the University of Toronto Medical School, and then I went on to train in otolaryngology, head and neck surgery, and then I did subspecialty training in facial plastic surgery. And in terms of the actual training, I think I was very fortunate to learn from some of the world's best surgeons in terms of head and neck reconstructive surgery, cancer surgery, and facial aesthetic surgery. And then in my fellowship year, I really was fortunate to learn from a number of masters in aesthetic facial plastic surgery, which sort of had a long-term imprint on my career and helped me sort of focus the areas that I'm currently in practice doing. And so that's kind of a short summary of how I ended up doing facial plastic surgery, and have been in Toronto, most of my life, and set up the clinic. I was sort of seduced potentially to move to the United States, as some of my colleagues have, but love Toronto and Canada, and I've stayed here. And now 25 years later, we have 2 thriving clinics, and things are going great. I'm sort of in that sweet spot of my career, and very, very happy. So, and this whole idea of the podcast is really Nancie's idea, because she felt that we could do more to really allow you to get a sense of aesthetic surgery and our practice to help you make your decisions as to whether you need a procedure and whether you want us to help you achieve the results that you're after. So
I think this gives us an opportunity to dig deeper into topics. So Dr. Solomon also writes an article for a magazine, and we talked in the first few years of the magazine. He was writing articles about different procedures, and now we get into different topics about social media and about perfectionism and all the different, topics that everyone else is talking about. So that's really the goal of the podcast.
We're going to touch on, I'll just give you sort of the highlights. Highlights are, I think our first podcast is going to be on rhinoplasty. Then we're going to move on to aging face and facelift surgery. And we have 2 of our favorite, nicest patients who are going to be with us sharing their experiences. Really not to sell you anything, but really just to talk about their journey. And then we're going to be talking about facial implant surgery, laser resurfacing, facial fat grafting, and facial feminization, which is another procedure that we do a lot of here at Solma Facial Plastics. And we'll take feedback from the audience. We do think that it would be useful. We really want this interactive. So check out our YouTube page at Dr. Philip Solomon Facial Plastic YouTube. And you'll see some other videos, but look for this podcast in general, because it'll be in a separate section, and you can subscribe so you get sort of a feed telling you when we have these coming out. We're also going to be on Spotify and Apple. So look forward to getting some feedback with comments, and that may help us guide us through the process of creating new content.
We welcome any suggestions. Anybody has certain topics they want us to cover, by all means, feel free to send them in, give us a call, send us a message. We're open.
Yeah, and look forward to the first podcast.